My name's Jasmine Green. This is my 1991 Toyota HiLux and I call it Khaos. I started out as a barista living in Kyabram, then I kind of caught the mini trucking bug. A mini truck is a utility vehicle that's just slammed on its guts. I couldn't afford to buy a mini truck, so I had to go up building one myself. I'd never really had an automotive background. My parents were not into cars. Before I got my car, I had no idea how to work on them. I'm into mini trucks because of him. Michael taught me a lot about general fabrication, just different techniques of welding.
With Jazz, she's a fast learner and doesn't give up. You'd say it would be the apprentice you wish you always had.
Building a car from start to finish was definitely a huge challenge, but in doing so, a lot of opportunities have opened up. I got the Laurie Starling Scholarship back in, I think it was 2020. That in itself opened up a lot of opportunities. I met my boss, Greg Maskell.
Hey, Jazzy.
Yeah, I really enjoy working at Maskell's Customs and Classics. I was able to do an apprenticeship as a motor trimmer, which was really good because it's a really hard industry to get into.
So with Jazzy's achievements, not just here at work, like she excels at everything she does, but with her mini truck, she's done the chassis, suspension, brakes, plumbed it, wired it, trimmed it, done all the metal fabrication, painted it. I can do most things on a car, and a lot of guys can do a lot of things on a car, but I actually don't know of another person that can build a complete truck on their own.
It's really shown what's achievable for someone that's come into the industry not knowing anything at the start. Just the recognition from that, and then winning Street Machine of the Year as well, like that's a massive achievement.
I'm still, blown away by that and can't really believe it, but yeah, it happened.
We first met when riding motorbikes. Probably shouldn't have laughed at her when she dropped it in the sand straight after getting on it.
There was this one time when we went out camping and I brought my motorbike with me and I didn't want anyone to steal it, so I put it in the tent and Michael slept outside. Michael had a HiLux as well, the same sort of era, and it was purple. I thought it was pretty cool, and I wanted a mini truck too. So I started with just a stock car and just wanted to customise it, and it kind of escalated. So the car is on airbag suspension, which allows it, to drive comfortably, and then when I park, I can go park really low. It's been body dropped, so the body can sit on the ground. I stretched it just to help with proportions after doing the front end swap, which was out of a Gen 3 Toyota Surf. I went to put the Toyota Tacoma bedside into the tub, and Michael and I, we travelled to the States. I found one and cut it in half, brought it back in a suitcase, welded it back together and then made it fit the tub. The tub floor, I've sort of made the corrugations flow up. The tailgate, that's just made from bent up a bit of steel, so it's got the body lines in it. The sunroof is out of a Toyota Surf, and the bonnet's cut and changed as well. Pretty much every panel is changed in some way, and also put the V8 in it, so it's got the 5.7 LS1 with a T56 gearbox behind it. I made a new firewall to accommodate that. So the wheel tubs are made from scratch. I started with a flat piece of steel and then bead rolled all the triangles into it just for a bit of strength and visual appeal. The front's got Skyline calipers and BA Falcon rotors, so it's got bigger brakes. The back's got a Commodore diff, which was a VU SS. Pretty much everything from that car went into this, including the wiring loom. It's got a Commodore key and cluster, so it pretty much thinks it's a Commodore. The door cards, I made them from scratch. The back of the tub tilts. I've made an airbag sort of mechanism that sort of works like a scissors so that I can access all of the air suspension, and it's for show as well, like it shows off all the chassis work. I ended up cutting a hole in the floor, like a little triangle, just as a window, just to show off the chassis. I drew up the Khaos design little plaque in the back, got it water jet cut and then sent off to be chromed. it was a big learning process just to understand what visually looks right. I guess if you're a non-car person, you probably think like fluffy seat covers and I don't know, stuff like that looks good, but actually I should have said I started with fluffy door cards. So I've got probably 4 main cars. My green one, which is Khaos, the good one. I just recently finished a 1968 RN10 HiLux, which is the very first HiLux ever made. It's slow, but it's fun. And then we got my daily driver, which is a 1981 HiLux, and that's got a Commodore V6 in it with a 5-speed manual. And then there's my future project, which I've just pulled out the paddock and put it in the shed. It's a 1964 Toyota Stout, and I've got huge plans for that.
I've got about 6 vehicles. I decided to stop working on all of them and just focus on getting one vehicle complete and together, which is a 1988 Toyota HiLux. Got a 1986 HiLux. I want to make it into an American-style dually. I got some spare parts out the back. There should be enough to make it happen.
So I've got a little trim shop set up at home where I just, do parts for my truck, and I've done Michael's car in there. It's just a pretty basic setup, I've got a couple of old machines, but they do the job. I got into 3D design and print because I can design something on the computer and then, allow all my clearances for the leather, and then I print it, and then it's pretty much ready to trim. This was my first car, so it's quite sentimental. I'd never sell it. I'm quite attached to it. It's been a long build process. I've learnt a lot along the way. I used to carry my dirt bikes around in the back, and now it's more of a show car, and it's a bit impractical in that sense, but yeah, I still love it, just cruising it, showing it off. Driving standard cars is quite boring. There's just something about driving something modified or just different. I don't know what it is, but it's just definitely more enjoyable. I like how it's exciting to drive. It's got cruise controls. To me, a Sunday driver doesn't necessarily mean driving it just only on a Sunday. Like, I built it to be driven to actually tow other cars. Like, I don't know, there's no good in building a car and just having it sit in a shed and look pretty. Like, yeah, it gets stone chips and, I've got to constantly clean it, but the enjoyment I get out of driving it outweighs those issues. I'm Jasmine Green, and this is my Sunday driver.